Hello, Dustin Zarni here, Democratic Elections Commissioner of Onondaga County, and welcome to Commissioner in a Car. But I'm not in a car. And why am I not in a car? Well, this week's Commissioner in a Car, I'm taking it into my home office. And the reason is I wanted to do a special on how to do vote by mail. And I'm going to show you how you can get your application, what the different kinds of vote by mails are, how you can apply online, and even how to fill out a mail ballot because I'm going to do mine. I'm voting by mail this election. And so I'm going to do that and as a service to show you all how to get this done. But first, today is Wednesday, November 15th. We're 20 days away from election. I usually do these on Tuesday, but because I wanted to do this in my home office, Wednesday nights are better for that, for me. So here I am. So let's talk about the vote by mail system that we have in New York. Many people may not realize, but the vote by mail system has been revamped over the last several years. COVID was the impetus of this, but it really kind of started in 2019 when Democrats took over the state legislature in New York. They wanted to make it easier to vote, and they started early voting to do that. But they also started to do several different things with the vote by mail process to make that easier as well. Part of it was in response to the pandemic with COVID-19, but it was so popular that a lot of things were kept and made it not only easier to vote by mail, but harder to challenge vote by mail ballots and have those results quicker on election night. So in I think it was 2021 or 2022, the a law was passed that no longer made us wait until after election day to do vote by mail. In 2020, because of the pandemic, and 2021, the normal excuse-based absentee system that we had in New York was allowed for the pandemic excuse, which was not just whether you were sick with COVID-19, but fear of catching that sickness as well. So that was extended in 2020 and 2021 by the New York State Legislature, but was not extended in 2022. But so many people wanted to vote by mail. What we saw was there were a large number of vote by mail ballots that were coming in to boards of elections. The problem with that was back then we didn't start counting those absentee ballots because there was only absentee ballots then until 7 days after election day. We didn't even start to open those until that time period. So not only did it mean that a large number of ballots were not counted on election night, and many races were too close to call on election night because so many people were voting by mail. It also put a target on the back of the vote by mail voters. And we saw all across the state in 2022 and 2021, large efforts to try to, I'm sorry, 2020 and 2021, large efforts to try to throw out ballots from an opposite party because races were so close and there were so many mail ballots. And the only way many people felt they could win was to discard the ballots of people who cast those votes. Well, the legislature did what's called the pre-canvassing law, which allows us to open up ballots as we get them, uh, using the bipartisan system at the boards of elections to check signatures and account for fraud. And people can come in and watch us do this, but no one can challenge them anymore. They have to be done at the bipartisan level. There's also a cure system. So if people mess up doing their vote by mail ballot, we can send them a cure and actually fix a lot of that. But also now, most importantly, 90% of our vote by mail ballots, if received, 90% of the vote by mail ballots will be part of the election night reporting on Tuesday, on election day, because any ballots received by the Sunday before the election will be part of the final scan and part of that on the Monday before and be tabulated election night. We can't even hit the tabulator until 8 p.m., but we can start scanning them in on Monday and be part of the results when we report results on election night. So that's why I say about 90% of those ballots will be done. Now, in New York, you still have 7 days after election day to turn in the ballot as long as it's postmarked on election day. So there is still a small number of ballots that will come in after election day or on election day, and at least a smaller number, anyways. But if a race is within the absentee ballot margin, it's probably going to go into the hand count as well. So, in the absentee ballot margin, we say is the number of ballots that have been returned but not opened by election night. So, most of your ballots are going to be counted and be part of election night. Now, in 2023, another law was passed to make vote by mail even easier, and that's the early vote by mail section of election law. This new section went into effect in 2024 and was in place last year, and that means no more excuse-based vote by mail voting. We still have the absentees, and we'll go into the difference between that. But the early vote by mail was passed in 23 and gone into effect in 24, and is now one of the more popular ways that people do vote by mail because you don't need an excuse. The problem is you have to do it every year. Let's go into that. So we do have three types, well, four types if we count the UOCAVA military and overseas voters. That's such a hyper small amount of our voters. Very important, but I'm not going to really spend a lot of time on that because we're so late in the calendar. Those voters have already been taken care of. What I am going to spend time on is the other three types of balloting that we have. First is the new, let's go with the newest, the early vote by mail. This is a non-excuse based voting system, which means that you can just apply for the ballot and we will give it to you. You don't have to declare any kind of excuse. You just want to vote by mail this election season, and then it's done. And that is called early vote by mail. The thing is that you have to apply every year. So last year we had about 30,000 or so applications. Now we're down to 7,000 this year. That's indicative of what happens with local elections. But also, I think some people don't realize that they have to apply. So being one of the reasons I waited to be this late in the calendar to do the vote by mail is the first round of ballots went out on September 29th. Well, actually, September 19th to the veterans and UOCAVA, but on September 29th, we sent out our first big batch of ballots in Onondaga County. If you do not have a ballot in your hand, it's quite likely that you did an early vote by mail application last year, and thus you have to reapply this year if you want to vote by mail. So that's the first one, early vote by mail. The second one is absentees, and the absentees is really the second and third one because there's two different sections to the absentee: the permanent section and the temporary section. Now, the permanent absentee is just what it means. If you sign up to be a permanent absentee, we are going to mail you a ballot in every election, in every year, in your political subdivision that is happening, whether it's a primary, whether as long as you're eligible, whether it's a village election, whether it's any election that the Board of Elections runs. By the way, we don't run school board elections, but any election that the Board of Elections runs, we will send you a ballot. Now, the problem with the permanent absentees, at least what happened last year, is a lot of people were permanent absentees, but also filled out the early vote by mail application. And because they were mailed out to people by good government groups, not by the board, but by good government groups. And if you were a permanent absentee and then subsequently filled out an early vote by mail application, we had to switch you over to the early vote by mail, which would end your permanent absentee status. So if you don't have a ballot and you believe you're a permanent absentee, or an early vote by mail, you should contact the Board of Elections and we can help you out. We can send you an application and get you set up. There's still plenty of time to get that done. So uh, there's that. And then the third type of vote by mail is the other type of absentee, the temporary absentee. That really has kind of started to go away as the early vote by mail uh, becomes more popular. But a temporary absentee is if you have a reason to need an absentee vote and it's only for this year or only for this election, you can choose temporary absentee. What are the good reasons for choosing permanent or temporary absentee? The excuses that are generally accepted and they're right on the application are that you're going to be out of the county, um, either temporarily or permanently, but you have a permanent residence here. But let's say you go to Florida for the winters every winter, then you would want, or college students. Although that's kind of temporary, it's only for 4 years, but those are the excuses that you can use whether you're infirmed or not. That means that you just physically or you have a sickness that can't get you to the polls. You cannot physically go to the polls. Um, whether you're a caregiver for someone who's infirmed or not. Another reason to get a permanent or temporary absentee. Again, temporary absentee, you do have to apply every year, just like the early vote by mail. It's your choice what to do, but there's really no difference between those other than having to declare an excuse. So let's talk about the applications. Okay. I got a couple of applications here in front of me. One of the reasons I did this in my home office is because I wanted you to be able to see some of the stuff, the visual representations here. So the yellow form that is having trouble on my camera is an early vote by mail application. The white form is an absentee application. Now, obviously, it doesn't matter what color form. If you're printing this up on your home computer or somebody else is printing it up, you don't have to have the colored forms. But these are the forms that we will. That my background is giving me a little problems here. Those are the forms that we will send to you if you need an application. And this is something that I wanted to talk about. Well, how do you get these forms? Well, first off, if you don't have a printer at home, the Board of Elections will mail you an application. You can give us a call at 315-435-VOTE, and we will mail you an application with a postage paid return envelope. And then you can fill out that application in the comfort of your own home, and then have that and then send it in to us, and then we will mail you a ballot. Now, it's starting to get late. It's October 15th right now. It's only 20 days to election day. Mail is going a lot slower. So you're going to want, if this is an option that you want, then you should think about doing that right away. Give us a call at 315-435-VOTE. Now I'm going to share my screen because we also have these forms right at our website at onvote.net. So hold on, I'm going to share my screen here. Yeah, there we are. So this is the Onondaga County Board of Elections website. As you can see, onvote.net is a nice way to go to it, but it goes right to onondaga.gov/elections. That's our website. And right down here, as you scroll down underneath the American flag, you have all of the options you need to really take part in this election here. So we're going to go to the request your ballot section. This is your request your ballot section. And here you just click on that and it takes you, we have a thing that goes right to the New York State Board of Elections website. The reason we do this is because if a form changes, they upload it on their website and that way we don't have to worry about uploading it on ours. So it takes us right to the New York State Board of Elections website. And here on this website, there are many forms. We have English forms, Spanish forms, Bengali forms, Chinese forms, Korean forms, Malayalam. I'm sorry, that's horrible. I can't believe I messed that up. Tagalog forms, Urdu forms. These are the early vote by mail forms. You can get any one of these forms here. If you click on it, it just brings up a form. You can print it up. It's usually a PDF. So there it is. That's the early vote by mail form. Now you can also, I'll just hit back here, go down to the absentee forms, and here they are right down here. Again, all the different languages. You click on it, you get a form, you can print it up and fill it out and mail it into us. And remember, you want to mail it to the Board of Elections in the county that you are in. And most of you are probably in Onondaga County. So you're going to want to mail it to 1000 Erie Boulevard, West, Syracuse, New York, 13204. You see it, it's right on our website here as well. But so those are the two paper forms. Again, we will also mail them out to you with return envelopes, or you can print them up and mail them in. However, one of the reasons I wanted to do this is because I wanted to show you the portal system. Now, the portal system is another thing that we put into place. I believe that one was in 2022. And this is a way to do absentee and early vote by mail applications online. You can just fill out the form online, and it will go to the Board of Elections that you are registered at, and then will actually get mailed out to you from them. We usually get those within 24 hours, and right now at Onondaga County, we are sending those out the next day. So probably by the time you request a portal form, as long as you're not doing it late at night on a Friday, we will have those portal requests done and out to you within 24 hours. But let's do a portal request, shall we? I'm going to actually request a vote by mail ballot. So we're going to click on this, and it says right here, the deadline to apply online for a mail ballot is Saturday, October 25th. Big old warning right there. So I'm going to select my county, Onondaga. I am. My last name, I'm going to put in my last name, Zarni. I'm going to put in my first name, Dustin. And then I'm going to put in my zip code, 13224, and my date of birth, September 9th, 1972. It's not very hard to find my date of birth online, so I'm not really worried about this. So you hit search. Now, look, it found me right away. Found out where I am. It says, here I am, Dustin Zarni. I'm in the county of Onondaga. I'm a Democrat. You didn't know that by now. And here's my address, 213 Melbourne Ave, Syracuse, New York. So you have several options when you're doing this. I can have it mailed to my residential address, mailed to a ballot to me at a different one, or delivered to me in person. Now I'm going to click the deliver to me in person option because tomorrow when I get into the Onondaga County after doing this, I'm going to get a ballot. Now, I've already actually got a ballot for myself, and I'll talk about what happens then in a little bit, because I do have a demonstration for you later on. So I applied in person today, got my ballot. Now I'm applying on the portal tonight. I'll get another ballot tomorrow. But only one ballot will ever count, and I'll go into that in a little bit. So what's the early mail request for the following elections? It's general election, special election, or all elections this year. I'm going to say general election. That's the one that's coming up. It's the last election this year anyway, so there you go. Ballot language, English or Spanish. Now, in Onondaga County, our ballots are bilingual all over. Some counties have different options. We have an English and Spanish ballot that gets mailed out to every voter. It has English and Spanish on it, and I'll show you that in a little bit. My phone number is optional, and my email is optional, but there it is, guys. Most of you have that anyways. And now here are the confirmations. The first one, I'm checking this box, is that I consent to use my digital signature, which means the signature that's on file. And the second one is I'm selecting this box. I certify that I am qualified and registered and for a primary enrolled voter, and that the information in this application is true. I hit OK, and then I hit submit. There it is. Now I have my confirmation right on the screen here of what that I did do a portal access. Now, tomorrow I'll show up at the Board of Elections because I'm going to be working there, and it'll say that it's delivered to me in person. I will pick up my second ballot. This is a good uh, way to stop here and talk about how we prevent people from just requesting a ton of ballots and voting many times. Because people will say, well, you open the ballots as you get them, so how do you know? Well, it's a very good question. Even if I had to ask it to myself. But so right now in this system, the first ballot that I requested, I got at the board today. Now that this next request will come in, it'll show on the system that I requested a second ballot. And the board will not canvass the first ballot when it comes in. It'll hold it aside until the second ballot comes in. And when the second ballot comes in, they will only count one ballot. And this might even have to wait until after the election because we gave up until the last day, the election day, for it to be postmarked. So anybody who requests multiple ballots, this is what happens. We hold the first ballot, don't canvass it. Now, if you requested a second ballot after the first ballot was already canvassed, we already know that as well. And then we do not issue a second ballot, or we will not count a second ballot if something got canvassed and the second ballot is still out there. Maybe it was done on the same day and wasn't able to be stopped. Then that, that those are those checks are in place. So if you ever request multiple ballots, we will only count one of them, and we usually count the second ballot that you send in. And if we had already counted the first one, if you send in the second ballot, it won't count. It'll be put aside, never discarded, never thrown in the trash. It's always put aside for people to check after the election, just to make sure that the Board of Elections hasn't made a mistake. So the portal is where most people register their wish to vote by mail. And it's very easy. As you can see, it took me, if I wasn't explaining to you, it probably would have took me about 30 seconds. So that portal is is our most popular application that we get in a year like this. Most people will apply through the portal unless they're already a permanent absentee. In even years, sometimes good government groups mail out the applications to people, and they mail it to everybody in the state. And that will probably happen next year. So we'll get a lot more paper applications in those years. So, but now I've requested a ballot. So where do we go from here? Well, now we have. Oh, my background's going to play games with this, but it would be the ballot that you would get in the mail when you request a vote by mail ballot. It's right here. This is the package that you would get. By the way, you can come into the Board of Elections and do this all in person. If you don't want to mail it in, you can do it in person. It's one-stop shopping. You can vote right then and there at the Board of Elections and be done with election. But let's go through this ballot. So first you have your outer envelope. This is the envelope that would be going to you, mailed to you with the ballot package. Inside the ballot package, you have several things. The first thing is the return envelope. This is our postage paid return envelope that goes in. We're going to set that aside for a second because that's the one that goes back to you. Then you have what's called your oath envelope. You know it's your oath envelope because on the back of it, it has an oath where you sign. And then inside the oath envelope, when you first get your ballot, will be the ballot itself. Now, this is a good part to talk about. I'm going to show you my ballot, but notice it's not filled out. So every year, one of the more popular questions I get is a ballot selfie legal? And I have to tell you, technically, it is not. New York has a law against showing and replicating filled in ballots. So right now, what I'm doing right now is illegal because there's nothing filled in. Now, there is a really good question whether the First Amendment would allow any kind of persecution for a filled out ballot. It hasn't been tested in the courts yet. And that's despite photography being out there. But I'm going to tell you the legality. And the legality is you should not do a selfie with your filled out ballot. You can do a picture of you at a voting booth. You can do a picture of you with with your I voted sticker. You can do a picture of you with your unfilled out ballot. That's all legal. But technically, duplication of a ballot that is filled out is illegal in New York. But so let's go over this again. You have your ballot that'll come in the mail. You'll have your return or your oath envelope and your return envelope. And of course, the outer envelope in which the whole package came in. So I'm going to fill out my ballot. Now, it's going to take me a little bit. So bear with me. But one of the great things about vote by mail is that you can do this at your house no matter what. So I'm filling out my ballot. There are little circles on the ballot that you have to fill out. And don't forget again, I'm showing you the back that is not filled out yet. Here are the circles right down here. And on the back of every ballot is your propositions. You may remember that there's a statewide proposition about the selling of land in the Adirondacks for an Olympic training facility. And then, of course, countywide, we have the proposition to move, enact term limits with the county legislature and move the county legislature to 4-year terms. I don't take a position on these things because the ballots are in the air. I'm not going to tell you who I voted for because ballots are in the air. But c'est la vie. Here we go. We're right, doing this ballot, filling it in, and voila. Now, when you're done with the ballot, you fold it back up so nobody can see how you voted. See, nobody can see how I voted when I fold it up properly. Okay. Then you put it inside your oath envelope. You know that it's the oath envelope because it has a sticker on the front, but the place to sign on the back. You put it in your oath envelope. Folds up nicely, fits right in there. Seal it. And then sign and date it. You have to sign and date it. Today is the 15th. And so now my ballot is ready to be turned in. Now, if you wanted to go to a polling place, you could just turn in the oath envelope. Or the Board of Elections office, you can just turn in the oath envelope. But if you want to mail it back, we have the business reply mail envelope. It is postage paid. You do not have to go out and find a stamp. You can just put it in there and mail it back. Oops. Bring it in there. Seal it. And now it's ready to go. And I have voted in the election. So one last thing that I want to show you is how do you track your ballot in Onondaga County or all throughout New York State? Well, let's share that screen again, okay? So I'm going back to the website here on vote.net, and we're going to go here where it says check your voter registration and polling place. Because on that, it also will check your mail ballot status. Now, I just applied today and both earlier today and tonight. So let's see if it's updated yet. Usually it takes 24 hours to update. So I'm going to put in my name, address, and my date of birth and my zip code. And here, it gives me a confirmation that I'm registered to vote, confirmation of where I got to vote. But because it is not late enough, because usually this updates every 24 hours, the vote by mail is not on here yet. But on this screen, if you had already applied, then it would show that we sent out a ballot. It would also show when we receive a ballot back. So this is a good way to check on your ballots right here on this screen. All right. So, and a few things on here while we're here. You get still time to register to vote. I went over that a few weeks ago. Check that voter registration show that I had back in your feeds. You can look at sample ballots. You can look at your early voting information to see where your early voting things are. I just showed you how to check your registration and your election day polling places as well. So that is all I have for vote by mail. Isn't it easy? Don't you want to get it done? Are you done? Are you ready to vote in this year's elections? Let's get it over with. Let's vote by mail. Or let's check in on the important dates, because there are plenty of opportunities to do like most people and vote in person. So let's go into the important dates. We are 20 days away from Election Day. October 25th is the next big day. That is next Saturday. And that's Golden Day. So what is Golden Day? Well, it's the first day of early voting. It is also the last day to register to vote. And it's the last day to request a vote by mail ballot online and have it be guaranteed that we will mail you a ballot and you will get it in time to be able to fill it out and put it in and be postmarked on Election Day. So Golden Day is a big day. It's a huge day. It's the biggest day in the calendar. It's also, by the way, if you had not registered to vote, and you're not registered to vote, but you made up your mind at the last minute, you can go to any one of our early voting sites and vote by affidavit and have your vote registered and counted on Election Day. And then we have early voting. As I said, October 21st is the first day, but it's not the last day for early voting. It runs until November 2nd. In Onondaga County, our hours are 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on the weekends, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Monday, Thursday, and Friday. And we have two nighttime ones on 12 to 8. So we go from a Saturday to a Sunday. So 9 days of early voting. Both weekends, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday and Thursday and Friday, 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Tuesday and Wednesday. And you can go to any of our 10 sites and vote. We check you in via the poll pad. Those poll pads update, by the minute. So you can't go check in somewhere else and get another ballot. And you will get the ballot printed from your election district right there. So that's early voting. And then, of course, Election Day, November 4th, polls are open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. But on Election Day, you have to go to your polling place where you live. So to check that out, again, go to onvote.net. You can pull up your polling place as well. So that's it. Thank you very much for checking in with the commissioner in the car, or commissioner in my house. This is kind of a long one, but I wanted to give you the opportunity to be able to cast your ballot by mail if you would like. And so there you go. Thank you so much and enjoy your day. Bye-bye.